And as the president heads overseas, Vice President Kamala Harris is back in Washington after her trip to Mexico and Guatemala. She met with Mexico's president and others to talk about the root causes of the immigration crisis, but she faces criticism from both parties on Capitol Hill. Ed O'Keefe is just back from Guatemala City. He was with the vice president. Ed, good morning to you. So why the incoming for Vice President Harris from the Republicans and the Democrats?
No, good morning, Gayle. Immigration's a sensitive subject on both sides of the border and here in Washington on both sides of the aisle. It's been her big focus ever since the president assigned her to take it on in March. On this trip, the vice president announced new plans to tackle illegal border crossings and took on issues like drug trafficking and political corruption. But some critics say she's ignoring what they think is the most important issue, the border itself.
We need to prioritize what's happening at the border, and we have to prioritize why people are going to the border.
At a press conference Tuesday night in Mexico, Vice President Harris said she will visit the U.S. border with Mexico in the future.
I think it's short-sighted to suggest we're only going to respond to the reaction as opposed to addressing the cause.
Harris hasn't been to the border since the president tasked her with handling the increasing number of migrants. Journalists repeatedly questioned her about this on her trip.
We've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
Republican critics like Texas Senator John Cornyn called her out for skipping the stop.
She hasn't even been to our southern border. She hasn't visited the facilities where tens of thousands of migrant children have been cared for.
Biden administration officials defended and clarified Harris's work.
Her assignment was to work with countries and leaders in the Northern Triangle to address root causes, address corruption, ensure we're working together to address humanitarian concerns.
But the vice president's message to migrants wanting to come to the U.S.
Do not come.
Was also criticized by some fellow Democrats. New York's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called those comments disappointing, saying we can't help set someone's house on fire and then blame them for fleeing. Look, this issue of whether or not to go to the border is rooted in pure politics. The GOP knows Harris remains a popular rival and may one day run for president herself. The vice president, for her part, viewed the trip as a success, and she did demonstrate an ability to go toe-to-toe with world leaders. But her inability to more quickly bat away at criticism from GOP critics clouded the focus of the trip. All of this, Tony, yet another reminder of how hard it'll be to achieve consensus on the issue of immigration.
And meanwhile, there are millions of lives in the balance. Ed, thank you very much.